BT14 is coming next week. And we're getting Digipolice with Digimon, if I'm saying that right, and Loogamon with Fenrir Loogamon. It's going to be so nuts. They're going to change the whole format because the format now is kind of, you just build up, for example, War Greymon with X Anybody and all that stuff. There's some decks that do build wide, such as Bloomlord, but now we're going to start seeing that more with those two decks. And these are the top 10 cards that you can tech in to slow down those decks because they're going to be nasty. Let's get into it. Along with those two decks, we're getting the new training cards, and the new training cards allow you to reduce Digivolution cost by 2. So a good number one, cards like Sayakumon, Gaussmon, and all these other cards that I'm gonna put up on the screen for you guys, not allowing your opponent to reduce Digivolution cost, having your opponent Digivolve for the full cost of 4 is gonna be huge, because then if you Digivolve for 4, it will pass your turn as opposed to Digivolving for 2. So number one, cards like Sayakumon. Second tech card, or tech cards that you could use to actually stop these new decks from being aggressive, is cards like Pamumon and Pillowmon. These cards prevent players from playing Digimons by effects, and that's all these decks do. Fenrir allows you to play up to 2, I believe 3 Digimon with a play cost of 4, and then Digimon just non-stop keeps spitting out Commandramons, and they're all by effects. So having these tech cards will damper the aggression of these decks. Now that we got those cards out of the way, which everyone's like, yeah, okay, yeah, we know that. Those, yeah. But now let's actually get into some cards that are actually going to be good for BT14, specifically going against those two decks or any whiteboard decks. BT2 Blackboard Greymon, allowing you to attack basically all your opponent's Digimon. This card's going to be amazing with the inherit of BT8 Metal Greymon that allows you to attack unsuspended Digimon. So now, even if they're suspended or not, you can attack the highest DP, and then you just keep chipping off one by one, and then at the end you get to restand again, because the last one you deleted will unsuspend you, and then you can swing again. So Blackboard Greymon is going to be really good, and then not to mention with the training cards too, now you get to reduce it by 2, so now you can Digivolve for 2. So those training cards are going to be amazing, because now you're going to be able to play a lot of 4-cost megas and still keep your turn. Number 4, we're going to jump in with Shadow Seraphimon. These wideboards, when they go for game, they're going to be swinging 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 bodies. And every time a security card is removed from your stack, you get to Digivolve a Digimon. So now being to Digivolve the level 6, right? So for Digimon, now you're going to be getting rid of the blocker inherit that gives all the Commandramons and the Digipolice blocker. That'll be big. So Shadow Seraphimon isn't really going to stop the decks, but it's going to slow them down, because when they attack, like I said, you get to Digivolve. Now the 5th card on my list for tech cards to disrupt these BT14 decks is the BT4 Mirage Galgomon. This one isn't really gonna disrupt it, but you are unblockable. And now if you pair that up with Thomas's that allow you to unsuspend not when you attack, but if your opponent has 8 cards or more, now you can keep swinging, and it's gonna be perfect against decks like D-Brigade, because they're all gonna be blockers and you can't be blocked. Not to mention, you don't really need training cards for that. It will help, but when you Digivolve, you gain a memory for every 4 cards in your opponent's hand. So Mirage Galgomon can be good against that deck, so that's also another one to just bypass that big wall. Here's a little bonus for you. I didn't put this on my top 10 because I think it's pretty obvious that these will be used, but bonus cards that you could use is Quartz, of course, and Death X, right? Death X being able to play it and reduce it depending on how many tamers and bodies your opponent has, and then you get to punish them by deleting Digimon and Digivolving Death X. Ever since that card came out, I don't think it's going anywhere. And then Quartz, of course, just being able to suspend every Digimon, gaining memory back for it, and then punishing them by trashing cards when you do attack, depending how many bodies and or tamers are on the board. So those are my bonus of the video, and let's move on to number 6. Number 6, a really good tech card that I think is actually gonna make a comeback, is Hexablow. Allowing to not only stun your opponent's Digimon that have no sources, but they can't attack and of course block, which I think that's what stunning is, right? Anyway, so it stuns all your opponent's board, and then every time you attack, you get to strip 2. So now eventually, if you pair that up with Sora and Joe, now you could kind of strip the whole line of Loogamon and or Digimon, because they don't have X anybody, or rather they're only going to have 4 sources underneath. So it's really possible when you bring in the Hexablow with the training cards, which will also help it. Attack, Suspend Sora and Joe, you're stripping 4 and now you stun the Mega. And you stun every other Digimon they have on the board. In this case, the Commandromons, the Black Gatomons when they come into play and they have Rush, right? So that'll be huge for Hexablow. So I think Hexablow is going to be a very good tech card in this BT14. Number 7 on my list is Azulon from BT6. Late game, this card can punish your opponent. For every card that your opponent has with no sources, I think you gain a memory back when you Digivolve, but you also get a security attack +1 for each card that has no source. And with Loogamon and Commandromon running around in BT14, they spit out bodies that have no sources, so you will be able to get security attack +1, 2, 3, 4 maybe even. So late game, you could really turn the tide around. And that's why I believe Azulon can be good against these decks late game. Number 8 on my list is Nidhogg. Nidhogg. Suspend all your opponent's Digimon with 5000 DP or less, which they're all gonna spit out level 4s. Level 4s usually have 5000 DP or less. Commandromons, the new high Commandromon has 4000, not 5, right? Those are the ones that are gonna be spit out. And you get to suspend all your opponent's Digimon with 5000 DP or less, but here's the kicker. Then it returns all your suspended opponent's Digimon to the bottom of their deck, and that can hit your Megas, their level 7s, anything that's suspended when Nidhogg comes and you Digiburst, anything that's suspended, you just boom, down to the bottom of the deck. So I think Nidhogg is going to be huge as well. Number 9 on my list, Venom Myotismon from BT2. Again, we're talking about training cards. He costs 4, so now it's going to cost 2. So it's going to be your turn, but it's more of for your opponent's turn because now if they have a white board, so every time they swing when your opponent Digimon suspends, you gain a memory. And that's going to be huge because if they're going for game, they have 6 bodies on board and they swing, they're at 3 memory, they're only allowed to swing 4 times, right? Because then after the 3rd swing, you lose memory and it goes to your turn. So Venom can be very crippling for your opponent and you get security attack +1 on your turn. So Venom Myotismon can be a really great tech card to use as well. And number 10 on my list, and teach me how to say this because I have no clue how to say this Digimon's name. Zuhukyuman. This bird, Phoenix bird, it's gonna be nuts. Again, it's playable with the training cards that are coming out, which will cost 3 now instead of 5. I know 5 is a hefty number to pay. When you Digivolve, you choose one Digimon, which would be the Suhokyoman, and then your opponent chooses one Digimon, and then every other Digimon gets deleted, and then for every Digimon deleted, I believe you gain a memory. If you don't gain a memory, I know for sure you gain security attack +1 for each Digimon that was deleted. So it's kind of like Azulon, right? But except this one actually deletes the Digimon, which might be better because then you won't be blocked besides the Mega if it is a blocker. But in this case, Brigadier won't be if there's not another source, and or Fenrir Loogamon isn't a blocker himself. So you'll be good to go to swing for game. However, closing the game might be another thing, but still good to pop all your opponent's Digimon. So again, making it a fantastic card for wideboards late game, of course, with the training cards. Those training cards are just, as you can see, are just gonna change everything. So those are my top 10 Digimon cards that are gonna make an impact in BT14. What about tamers? What about options? Which ones are gonna be used in BT14 that are not being used right now? I'm gonna make videos for those too, so make sure you're subscribed and I'll see you there.